PlayStation believes in great games.
Hello and good day to you, my beautiful friends. I do hope you are well. Welcome to episode 26 of CrossButton VR, a beginner's journey into PSVR2, a show for those who want to share in our newcomers' enthusiasm for the world of VR. Now, I'm your host, Laurie, but for anyone that has not been paying attention for the last 25 episodes, I just want to remind you that we are part of the Cross Players. So, if you enjoy what you hear, please do check out thecrossplayers.com for links to all of our content and our Discord. Now, it is an honour to be joined by two of the biggest scoundrels in the metaverse. It's Ben and Alex. Hello.
Hello.
Ooh,
Hello.
I can't think of what a scoundrel would say. Probably that. To
Aha.
throw you off.
Sounds like something a scoundrel would say.
Yeah. That's
You
me.
just kind of laugh in a kind of mischievous, kind of dandy type way.
How's that?
Oh, yeah, that's very good. That's very good.
Just look a little bit shifty.
Not a problem.
You do look a bit shifty. Yeah. How you both? You well?
Not bad.
Busy week?
Not bad.
You've had an extra day of the week this week to ponder your week.
Yeah, we have.
Yeah.
So we are
That was
recording this a
weird.
day later than usual. Just, yeah.
Very odd.
What did you do with your Friday nights off? A rare
I
Friday night
played a
off?
lot. I played a lot of VR.
Did you?
Had a
Well, that's
shower.
good because we're... Okay, that's nice. Yeah, no, I had a night out. One of my friends is moving to Jordan. A firm listener of this podcast, actually, because he's been listening for the last few weeks, and he's going to buy a PSVR2 headset to play whilst he's out in Jordan, and we're going to meet up and play mini golf together. And yeah, it's going to be his way of keeping in touch. So, yeah, we
Wow.
had farewell drinks and just did a good little send off for him last night, him and his family. So yeah,
Good.
I hopefully
What's
they'll
his
be
name?
listening
Let's
to
just give him a shout.
No, he doesn't need to be embarrassed. His name is Rich.
Okay.
I don't actually
Yeah,
know
well-
his name.
No, it's
Enjoy your time in Jordan.
Jordan.
The country, right?
Yeah,
Okay.
the country. Good. Well, we've got some news. We've got some what we've been playing. We're going to be doing a review of Hubris or Hubris or Hubris. However you want to say it.
When he says either of those variations.
Yeah, Hubris. And our topic is somehow we are 6 months down the line. 6 months we've been doing this, which I suppose episode 26 was the giveaway there. We've been doing this for half a year. Christ. Half a year older, half a year of talking to you.
Tail, look.
It's tell because I'm now so much slicker and more professional than I was back in episode 1 and 2 when we were out.
You are. Dan was actually complimenting you on the last crosscast and how you've blossomed into the ultimate presenter. Yep. And he was doing it genuinely as well. It wasn't.
But yeah, I've blossomed. Well, as much as it's nice to think Dan thinks I've blossomed into something, that probably don't want to dwell on that too much. Instead, we shall get on with the news. So the first thing, there's been a lot of news this week about Firewall Ultra, which is not surprising because it's very close to releasing now. And yeah, when this episode goes out, I think it's going to be just a few days before it releases. So anyone that's listening to this podcast on release, you've only got a few days to wait to look forward to. Firewall Ultra. And the big news that they dropped was a new PVE mode called Exfil, which just means it's nothing to do, if they've not done anything to the fills. Exfils now, it's just exfiltration, it's short for. And so you can play it with up to 3 other buddies where you can, same sort of gameplay, but rather than having to hack into one laptop and get out of there, it's 3 laptops you've got to hack into and then get out of there. And I think where those laptops are placed in the environments changes each time, and where the enemies, they spawn in, they move around. And I was reading that it starts off, they are just kind of patrolling, they don't see you, but as soon as you hack one of them, they will rush to your position, so then you've got to leg it to the next one and stuff. So it sounds really fun, and for me it's made it much more like a game I want to play now, because I was thinking if we get this, we would play it and we'd probably come up against a team of people online that would inevitably be far better than we are, and we wouldn't have much fun with it. But now there is a whole mode that we can play. That's cool. How are you guys? You looking forward to this now?
Well, suddenly I'm a lot more interested in it. Yeah, for exactly
Yes,
that reason. Just seemed much more compelling and much more something like we could actually get into and have some fun with. So, yeah, another one for the list now. Damn it.
Yeah,
I'm really looking forward to it now. It's one of those and we'll probably kind of touch on this later, but I feel like I'm completely open to more things in VR. Like, see if this was just a normal flat game, I'd have no interest in it at all. Like, none. Absolutely none. But I feel like just that different perspective, and I just feel like I get on better with a VR game than a flat game. So I've got myself as well into a couple of little groups with some of the guys that are on our Twitter, ready to try and go out and team up and see how we get on. So looking forward to it indeed.
Ben and I are like, some new little groups
you guys
in here then.
You guys are pissing off and leaving me as it launches, so I need some people to play it with, don't I?
Well, I will be back for a weekend in between.
You will be back.
So we'll be around at launch, but then I'm pissing off again. And unlike you, I've got no interest in taking my PSVR2 away with me on holiday.
I didn't take mine either.
You wanted to, though, didn't you?
I did.
I mean, this is, and it's good because I think if it had just been PvP, there would have just been that initial wall, which we never would have got good enough to get over, and I just would have bounced off of it, I think, pretty quickly. But now that there's a mode that actually we can play this and get good and play it enough, then actually it might come a point where we think, actually, let's go on, let's have a go and play against some real people. And we'll probably still get our asses handed to us, but it will be more fun because we'll hopefully have some level of competency by that point. One would hope. And they've also been doing some blog posts this week, or a YouTube video just announcing the character backstories and profiles and stuff. So they're really ramping up the marketing now and just trying to build the hype for it. And it does feel like this is we talked about it quite a lot in the recent weeks about PlayStation PSVR2 having no games, but this feels like this is the next big game. Certainly it's getting all of the first party, it's been published by Sony. They're doing the publishing duties for this one. They're giving it a big push. It's had lots of marketing and stuff. So a big part of Sony's upcoming lineup, and looking forward to it.
Hello there.
Yeah, very close now, very close. And then we'll probably do an episode, because if this comes out and then the week later Crossfire Sierra Squad comes out, which one or more than one of us, maybe all of us, will pick up as well, so we can do a little episode where we can think, well, which is the better one, because we have to have a head-to-head fight to the death with these sorts of things. We can't just let things be themselves. So that would be something to look forward to. Next up on the news, there's been a whole bevy of ports announced this week. Lots of them. So first up, we've got Broken Edge port announced, which is a PvP dueling game. Where it's a bit like that For Honor, that Ubisoft game, that For Honor, where you can be different, like a knight or a ninja, or I don't know, like all sorts of different assassins and type of things from different time periods and places around the world, and then you duel it out, and it's got like a pastel cell shaded look. It's got a really distinctive art style. It looks great. It comes out on September the 19th. You get a 33% discount for pre-orders. It was well received on Quest. I've sort of checked out some reviews for it. It landed well. So looks like another nice port to be getting.
Yeah, this looks good. Like I think it looks interesting. I think it'd be quite fun to play together. And as you say, it's I think it's like one-on-one PvP, like a sword fight though. So it is proper. It's not quite as. I don't think it'll be quite as intimidating as something
not
like
as sweaty.
Yeah, I've just googled it, and it does have an AI apparently. You can have AI opponents as well. But I
love the art style. I do think it looks quite cool.
Yeah, it looks really cool.
Yeah.
And I think just to your point around the discount, was it? So I think it's £8.74 or something with the discount just now. It's something like that. I can't say exactly what it is, but they are putting the price up at release across all platforms just because of the stage they're at. So you're getting the 33% off the existing price at the minute, but if you don't pre-order it, then it jumps in price once it launches. So if you are interested in the game, it's probably definitely going to be worth your while to get that pre-order in and save a little bit of money.
Yeah,
they're bumping it up a little bit.
Yeah, I mean, I've just realised we're recording this and it comes out or no, it comes out.
No, it's way after.
It's next month. Sorry, I was getting my mum's confused. What am I talking about? So I mean, the benefit of that is people have got a few weeks now. They can check out plenty of reviews out there already for the Quest version of it, so you can watch a review online or read about it and stuff and think if it's something you'd like. Because I mean, £8 is worth taking a punt on. If you think this is the sort of thing you'd like to try out, give a go to. That's a good price, isn't it, for the game?
Yeah, for any game. I mean, just from initial look at the reviews, they seem to be kind of all over the place. Like in terms of ratings, like a 7.5, 9 out of 10 on Steam, and then the VR Grid gave it 5.5 out of 10. So, averages out maybe a 7, which for £8 seems reasonable.
Yeah. I mean, we'll come back to that. I'll mention that when we talk about the 6-month review, because that's, I think, is something in VR where you're just playing so many different things. And I think normally with non-VR games, you kind of you stick to your genres, your sort of things that you like. But with VR, you kind of get to try everything and stuff. So I do find myself, I play stuff and I don't really like it, but I think I can, if I had to score this, for me, it's not great, but I can appreciate it's a good game that other people would like. So it's kind of hard to review or give feedback on stuff. So I'm trying to just focus on the stuff that I would naturally like and gravitate to anyway, and not try and think, well, this just isn't for me. It's not a game that I'm enjoying, but that's not saying it's not a good game. It's just not one for me. And that maybe is what's going on with some of the reviews and stuff, because you do see there's been a few games that the reviews are just all over the place, and I think just people just play more and just willing to experiment more on VR. It's a bit like the Switch when that came out as well. Found myself playing all sorts of new things. Anyway, that's Broken Edge. Next up, the port that's been revealed, and this was revealed a few weeks ago, I believe, but it got a week or so ago. It got a PS Store listing now live, and there was some tweets about it and some publicity for Ven VR, which is another Quest port. It's an Astro bot type game. It very much looks like an Alex and Laurie game. Sorry, Ben, but that's just how it is, I'm afraid. It looks like Crash Bandicoot in VR, basically. Looking for the footage of it. Yeah, I'm guessing, Alex, I think you're probably quite keen to play this one.
I'll be playing this one, absolutely. 100%.
100%. Cool. Yeah, it's supposed to be rock hard, which again, if it's like Crash Bandicoot, there'll probably be some insane difficulty spikes that make you want to just...
I mean, I was ready to, but rock hard has got me right in, yeah. So.
Sorry. Okay. So, but Ben, is this one that you'd have any interest in?
I mean, from my initial look at it when we were sharing the link around, a week or so ago, it was like, yeah, it kind of looks like a cheap and cheerful platformer. Like, I don't know, I'm very kind of jaded anything post Mario, really. I was think, they're just doing a rip-off of a Sonic or a Crash or a Spyro or an Astro. I don't know. It looks all right. I'm not holding out much hope for it, though. So,
wow.
Yeah, you were right to call it an Alex and Laurie game.
Brutal. Brutal there from Ben.
Yep.
That's me. Yep, so that's Ven VR. There's been another Ruinsmagus, or Ruinsmagus. All sorts of ways you can say this game. But how would you guys say this one? Ruinsmagus?
Ruinsmagus, probably.
Yeah, well, there's another port. Also coming out on September the 19th, I believe. This, to me, looks like a Persona game that plays in VR, in that there's some bit where you're kind of running around a sort of hub area, you're sort of talking to people and doing stuff and buying things in a shop. And then you enter into a dungeon-type environment, and it's just a kind of dungeon crawler type RPG, turn-based RPG type thing.
Game.
Yeah, a definite Ben game. Looks quite weeby. Not I saw the trailer for it. I saw the trailer. I thought, there's no way I'm playing this.
Was there boobs in the trailer? Was that what it was?
No, no boobs that I can remember seeing, but just the kind of the gameplay. I've played Persona games. I've played Persona 4 Golden, and I played it for about 20 hours. I really did try to like it, but I did not like it.
I'll give this a go. A JRPG in VR sounds very interesting to me. And again, like you were saying a few minutes ago, Laurie, just trying stuff in VR, just different things. I'm well up for that. So again, this seems to be averaging out around about a 7 according to reviews, but I'm up for it. I love the JRPG. It'll be interesting to play in VR. bring it on. It's good. It's good. Not sure how that will translate to VR. Whether it will, some of the reviews I've read said it gets a bit kind of repetitive. But like you said, Laurie, that's JRPGs in a nutshell. And if you like it, amazing. So,
yeah, it'll be hard because the thing with JRPGs and stuff like Persona, I can imagine you can be repetitive because you can just whack on a podcast, or you could be doing it whilst watching telly or doing something else, especially if it's on the Switch or some handheld thing. But in VR, where it's like, no, you've got to sit through these battles. There's nothing else you can do because you cannot look at your phone or you can't get distracted or do something else at the same time. I wonder if that repetition factor becomes more of an issue.
I mean, call me a crazy innovator, but you could listen to a podcast still whilst playing in VR. It's not impossible. Like there's ways. That's all I'm saying.
I mean, you could have one headphone and you could have the sound still come through TV, and you can do both.
Exactly.
Yeah.
There's loads of ways. But
all right. Well, you can listen to back episodes of CrossButton VR whilst you play this game, and then you can let us know what you think.
Other podcasts are available, such as Crosscast, UK's favourite gaming podcast.
Also with yourself and Alex. As long as you are on the episode somewhere along the way.
Exactly.
That's fine. Okay, well, you can let us know in late September what you think of this game. And then the final thing that has been port revealed, which really made me laugh, was this game called Down and Out, which I don't know which one of you it was that sent it around. Alex, I think you sent this one around.
Yeah.
And my God, it looks awful. It looks so shit. It's coming to PSVR 1 and 2 and Quest 1 and 2. I think this is just a PC VR thing. And it just kind of looks like Grand Theft Auto, the bits where you just walk around, punch people in the face, kind of like that gameplay. It looks so bad. And
how does that not appeal?
Well,
it looks awful.
It just looks offensively horrible. Like you just go around just punching just people in the street and getting into fights with them, and like not in a fun way. And it's supposed to just have like one area which is very limited, and it's got lots of kind of just cut and paste assets from some game design engine, and it just looks bad.
Cheap and cheerful. And
Alex, you're going to crack on with it, and you're going to play it, and you're going to platinum it, I hope, and you can let us know what you think.
I'll love it.
Good that we've all got different tastes, though, isn't it? That's
Indeed.
nice. Keep things fresh.
It is, yeah. What have we been playing? Who wants to go first? Someone. Come on.
Okay.
I'll pick on someone if someone's going to volunteer.
Okay. I'll throw myself on the sword. I have... What?
What?
What were you going to say?
Nothing. Come on, suspense. You have what?
I have been playing Runner.
Oh.
Who here has heard of Runner? Yes, we all have, because we've all played it.
Yes, we've all played it. Yes. We've all had a go of Runner this week, so tell us what you think, Ben.
So Runner, for the uninitiated, is basically you're first person, you're on a motorbike, speeding down the road, shooting at enemies. Is a very simple way to do it. I think it's very similar to Akira, anime, which I've never watched, but
Never watched anime.
Putting two and two together.
Okay.
But yeah, so you're more of a weeb than me, Laurie. But yeah, it's very anime inspired. It's got that kind of Neo Tokyo look about it. Yeah, very, very cool. Gunplay is cool. There's quite complicated weapons and controls. I thought was a bit like playing the tutorials. But like, hang on, are you expecting me to remember all of this? Like I would have liked it if it kind of pulled it out gradually throughout the first couple of levels, but it doesn't, and that's a bit of an arse. But the actual gameplay itself is, cracking. Really, really enjoyed it. I haven't got far through it, but definitely be keen to push through it. It's definitely my cup of tea.
Yeah, no, I agree. It plays well, but it's a little bit overwhelming to begin with. There's definitely a little bit of what's this, right, you do this, oh, here's a grenade, oh, this is this type of weapon, hold this button, do this while you've got a gun, do this when you've not got a gun. Slow that back down. But I mean,
Exactly.
the actual gameplay is great. Like that sense of speed, the ease of the controls to a certain extent as well, because like the steering of the bike isn't bad at all when you're still trying to use the guns. Like it's all quite simple when you actually get going, other than the combinations of weapons and then enemies. But the sense of speed, the soundtracks, the setting, all pretty cool. Great first impression, other than that, what you said, Ben.
Yeah, the setting and the whole aesthetic of it is rather down there. The whole aesthetic is very cool. I really like the setting. Even that intro where you're just sat in the alleyway and you're getting that briefing essentially through that through the VCR. It's just all very cool and the music's amazing. But I did not like the gameplay when I was playing this. That tutorial just threw loads of stuff at me and then off you go. And it felt like they'd kind of made the game and then we need to put a tutorial in and let's just start one at the beginning, just create a little tutorial level that doesn't do a good job for me. And I was just frustrated just trying to work out how I kind of things that I did in the tutorial. I thought, okay, how did I do that again? I just could not. There was just so much to take in. Then when I was playing the game, it was just frustrating because I was just doing the same thing. I just resorting to the same just basic attacks and stuff. And I didn't like having to look around and there's just too much going on for me. It wasn't. This is not a me game. And also, Ben, you would love to hear this. It actually the first thing I've played on PSVR2 that actually made me feel queasy and like not want to play it because I was like, oh god, this is not enjoying this. The motion sickness was there for this one. It's just the first thing that I played, and that is I think because you are just moving really fast, but I'm trying to sort of not look where I'm going. I'm trying to look around and shoot things at the same time and look with both sides, and it was just very. It's just too kind of frenetic and confusing for me. I like to slow it down. I think because I've been playing The Room, it's completely like a polar opposite. No moving around at all. I think it's just like, oh god, this is. And maybe I was just maybe I was tired when I first jumped into it and stuff, and it just didn't like it. But I could tell that it's not going to be one for me. So I shall look forward to hearing more of your thoughts on it.
It does have a couple of things they added in. They added in an easy mode, which it didn't have before. So I don't know if you guys. It was quite it kind of told you all the features on the wall that they'd added in. So they've got the easy mode and they've got a co-op mode. It's just a couch co-op mode, which is a little bit frustrating. So you can have someone playing on the screen whilst you're in the game, and the person playing on the screen can control the bike. So they're steering the bike and you're doing the shooting, which I think is quite cool. I'd quite like to try it, but got nobody here to try it with me, unfortunately. But I did think maybe we could try and see if it would work over share play. Maybe try that and give it a wee go to see how that plays. Because I think that'd be quite cool if you get someone driving and someone shooting, and then if the driver's shit, you're shouting at the driver because they're putting you off your shooting. And stuff like that. That would
be a more fun way I think to play it. I think I'd enjoy it more then because I could focus on one thing or another.
Yeah.
But no, promising for me. There's one that we've kind of had our eye on, like one of those very early games that came out, and I'm pleasantly not surprised because I always thought it looked cool, but satisfied. Decent.
Good. Well, I have been playing, and I'm now finished and ready to review Hubris. Hubris. I don't even know what I said there. Hubris is a...
Hubris.
Alex, come on. Hubris is an really exceptionally beautiful game. It's probably the most... one of the most visually spectacular games I've played on PSVR2. It's just a shame for me. The gameplay just cannot match up to the look of it. But that doesn't mean to say I didn't really enjoy playing it. There was a lot of good stuff that was really good, but there's also a lot of stuff that was just bang average with it or just bad. So it's a really mixed game. It's quite short. It probably took me about 4 hours. There's 4 kind of parts to it, and each one takes about an hour to get through. It's a good. I liked it for. It's got that. You could play for it, probably be one long night, but you could play it in one sitting if you really sort of push through and try to do it in one sitting. So it's kind of like watching a long film, and I like those sort of VR experiences where you go on a little self-contained adventure that takes a few hours, and it makes you the hero in an action movie type thing, which is what it does. You've it's got that Total Recall vibe in it, where you are the hero in this story. You are some new recruit for this space force. They're called the OOO. I can't remember what that stands for, but that's the name of what you are, this kind of space military type people. The story in it is all quite a bit confusing, and it's explained just by people talking to you. But I always find in VR stuff, I'm looking around and just taking stuff in and just mucking about, and then people say stuff that I was like, hold on a minute, that sounded important, can you go over that again? But there's no way to make people repeat text and stuff like in like flat games where you can just go up to them again and press the same button prompt and they'll repeat what they've just said, or you've got a log of stuff that people have said. In VR doesn't seem to have that in games, so if you miss what someone said, you're like, oh okay, I wasn't really listening, I'm sorry, can you, I don't know what I'm doing now, but you just have to kind of go with it. So but other than that, the story anyway is just a bit, you hear a distress signal, you go down to the planet to investigate, you have to shoot some baddies and some aliens and some kind of little creatures that live on the planet. Essentially it's a rescue mission, and that's kind of what it is. There's not really any twists in it. It's not really a bigger story it's telling. It's quite a kind of basic story. It feels like to me they've made this game that's a kind of beautiful world and a really good engine, and then they're like, right, we need to kind of put a story in this and put some enemies in it, and give you something to do whilst you're there. And some of the stuff you do is good and fun, like swimming, brilliant. Really, like, sounds bizarre that it's sort of the best swimming in a game I think I've ever played. Usually swimming levels are complete utter shite, but in this it's actually quite fun to swim. It does respond really well if you do big kind of breaststrokes, and if you swim, and it feels really natural if you want to sort of swim down and swim up. It's really cool. Maybe need some more swimming games. I think some more swimming VR would be quite cool. That'd be a good fitness game maybe. But a lot of it is just kind of filler, or is just not great, and the enemy AI is spectacularly awful. Like when you enter a room, the enemies, you can see them all just kind of standing there, and then when you enter the room, you kind of, a few seconds later, it's almost like they get switched on, and then they just start walking towards you and shooting shit at you, and they just kind of home in on you, and it's very easy to take out. They never miss though, so you kind of, if you're playing on hard, it's just really hard. If you play it on easy, then it's just like laughably easy, because they just kind of shoot them and they're just really slow and they just die really easily and they don't really do much damage. So it's just kind of weird. They don't ever try and sort of dodge or get out of the way, or talk to each other, or do anything. And they've all just got helmets on, so they all look completely identical. And there's only a few, some little alien wee blobby things that run at you, just these little alien things. I don't know what happens if they get to you, because none of them ever got to me. Could easily pick them off before. They look like kind of face hugger type aliens. But yeah, they're easy to kill. There's underwater squids, which again just kind of move slowly towards you. They're very easy to pick off. And then there's the sort of human enemies that are very easy to pick off as well. So I realise I'm not really selling this game very much, but what is good about it is just that sheer awe-inspiring. You're on this alien planet that is second to none, so immersive, and there are environments and rooms that you go in as a kind of one of the apartments that one of the characters lives in, that you go back to, that you can interact with all the stuff, and you can use all of the equipment on the shelves and the smoothie maker to make yourself some health potions and stuff, and you can go out onto the balcony and just look out on the view and stuff. And for that alone, I can see why this is a popular game in VR, because the moments like that are just absolutely breathtaking. And I think if you could just, like, if Hubris 2 can come out and marry that kind of sense of awe and those vistas and that that just scenery and things, marry that with a compelling story and some decent enemy AI, you'd have a really, really fantastic game that I would strongly recommend to anyone. As it is, I can recommend this to people on the basis that it's quite short and it's has that wow factor. So if you're looking for something like that in VR, but I think, and there are cool bits in it, like the swimming and the sort of platforming parts in it, but then there are other parts that are just, if it was not a VR game, it would be laughed off the show. It would not be an acceptable state to release, just because it's kind of PS1 level of kind of enemy AI. It reminds me of like playing GoldenEye. You would see like the enemies and stuff doing that, and some of the it's very basic in that respect. So if it wasn't in VR, it would not be a good game. But in VR, it can kind of get away with it to some respect, because you are just enjoying being in that world. It's keep going back to it. It is just beautifully realised, and just the setting that you're in, it's worth playing just to kind of see the different parts of the world and stuff. So just as kind of like a virtual tourism type thing, it's just fun to go on a exploring like this alien planet and this space station. For me alone, it was worth. I kept playing just because it was worth spending my time. Just I wanted to see the different environments and just go through them all and stuff. And it was like a kind of shooting gallery to shoot through, and there was some plot going on that didn't really seem to be of much consequence. So yeah, that was Hubris. Any questions?
What made you finish it? Because it doesn't seem like you were overly enjoying it, and it's taken you a while to play through. So what is it that compelled you to actually roll credits?
Well, I played it like a chapter. We'd play a chapter of it and then I'd leave it. It would be a good game if they released it like episodically. It would work quite well because each chapter is like an hour long or maybe 45 minutes even. So it wasn't. It's very kind of bite-sized. So if I was kind of a week or so between each time I played it, and so you jump in, play one chapter, play it for an hour, and it's just like going, like I say, this kind of space tourism. You're just going around exploring these environments. And the stuff you do, because it's just playing it for kind of 45 minutes, the shooting, and there is enough variety between the shooting and the kind of platforming and the swimming and the kind of environmental puzzle solving. You have to work out to kind of detonate some mines or move some platforms around or some gantries or just find your way through these space stations, or just, and the bits of dialogue and stuff. There was enough in each episode, that enough variety that made it interesting, and the kind of immersiveness of it is compelling. I think for me, it was fun to go and just be playing that role. It's funny. It's funny. I would recommend it to people. I think it's a good VR experience. It's not a good game, but as an experience in VR, I think it's quite strong. And you say, if you just, for me, I got through it because I thought, oh yeah, go on then, I'm ready to jump into that world again and just play another hour of that.
Right.
Just because it was just kind of like an hour a week here and there in between other things, and just have that variety. Because the levels, there's a lot of variety where you might be inside the space station, then you have to go out into the alien environment, or you might have to go underwater or go through some caves. So there's enough variety, and you're seeing stuff, and you're doing things as you do a lot of kind of VR type stuff where you have to pick up things and then put them in the machines and pull chunky levers and stuff. And then, there's enough stuff like that makes it varied and interesting. And it's all a bit, it keeps it, that variety is there, which means that if you're just playing it for an hour or so, I did quite enjoy it still. I just want to, I wouldn't say, this is a brilliant game, absolutely brilliant, fantastic. Because I think if you just took a step back and think, well, actually, as a game, if this wasn't in VR, it would not be. Anyone would just laugh at this if they released it. But just because it's in VR and it's that experience is what makes it so powerful. It's good, and I think they've got the makings of. I hope, despite everything I said, I hope they do a Hubris 2, and I hope that they double down and they Hubris, nice. I hope they develop the story and come up with a more compelling thing and make it a bit longer and just refine some of the mechanics and build on the enemy AI and stuff. And I think they could have a really, really strong game. But I just think as it is, it's quite basic. There's not enough enemy variety or for a fully fleshed out game. So I think people want to pick it up if they like the look at it. Just no, from my point of view, I think it's not a good game, but it is a enjoyable few hours spent just larking about an alien planet, basically.
Maybe wait for a sale for this one. $24.99 full price. So
yeah, I mean, it depends.
Off would be an easier recommendation, I guess.
For sure, yeah. And I think it's one of the ones that to just try out. And I know some people really love this game and they put it on their top 10 list. So maybe I'm just being quite harsh on it, but I think you'd have to kind of overlook quite a lot to be putting it on a top 10 list. It wouldn't make our top 10 list, I think. You'd have to be overlooking quite a lot. You'd have to just really want to like it to kind of look past its not its failings, but it's kind of how basic it is in so many areas. But like I say, it's as a first entry in a series in VR. I hope this is very much a kind of Gen 1 type VR experience, and they'll come back kind of a few years from now and they'll just blow everyone away with Hubris 2. And I think there's a good chance of that happening as well, I think. Sorry, Alex, go on.
I was going to say, just when you mentioned top 10 there, so one quick question, and it goes back to probably what you're saying about it being visually stunning. How would you compare it to Red Matter 2?
It's Red Matter doesn't have any combat, so that's
does.
much
Have
more.
you just not got that far?
Well, okay, not that far. It's more like Red. It's not as good as Red
What
Matter
if
2.
Do you
visual
mean
rather than the game?
visually though?
Yeah,
right?
like visually,
Fidelity
like visually.
wise.
Yeah, I think it's not as good as Red Matter 2 in. I'm just trying to think in any area really. The sort of platforming mode. I don't remember. I hadn't got. Maybe does it have any later on in Red Matter 2? Sort of platformy type stuff.
Yeah, there are bits. Yeah.
So this is kind of. It's much more. You're doing a lot of. There's a bit of Horizon Call of the Mountain where you're kind of exploring and climbing up mountains and not mountains, just cliffs and caves and stuff, and you're pulling yourself up handholds and stuff. So there is a bit of that. I may not have got, I don't think I've got far enough in Red Matter 2 to compare it, but it doesn't seem as refined or as accomplished as Red Matter 2.
Go back and
but
finish that.
I will do, yeah.
I'm tempted to pick up Red Matter 2 actually. It's on sale
I
at the
think you'd
moment
like it.
until the end
I
of
think you would.
August, £20. So
I'm keen to play that, having now played Hubris, because you played Red Matter 2 to completion, so I thought for the kind of the benefit of our listeners, I thought I wanted to finish Hubris first and be able to give everyone a sense of what that's like. But certainly what I've played so far of Red Matter 2, I think is the better game, undoubtedly. But yeah. So
splendid.
I don't know. Let's say check out some other reviews and other people's thing. I think looking at other reviews out there, it does seem that people think yes, there's some good stuff here, but there's also lots of just very basic stuff.
Can I go from visually stunning to visually not stunning? Can we go there? Yeah. So I played a little bit of Green Hell VR. So this was released this week. To much noise, not being the most well received port. I can see why. So you actually you go into this game, right, and at first you're like, oh, it doesn't look too bad. This actually looks quite nice, and you go and then. So what it is, it's a survival game. So you are this person who's on an island, and you're here to explore this island. You've got a camp set up, a base, and you've got you're trying to, I think, just from the little bit that I've done of the story, you're kind of trying to go and explore and understand like the different tribes and stuff in the island who are, I think, potentially not quite at war, but there's something going on, and you need the help of one of them, and you're basically there to explore and understand what's going on in the island. But certainly your partner is, whether you're doing that or whether you're just in to try and survive while they're doing that, I'm not quite sure yet. But so you get on the island, and at first, like, some of the textures and that, like the bushes, the trees, the leaves, like that actually looks quite nice. Then you get to the camp, and the first thing you need to do is go and build a campfire. And the actual gameplay is quite good because you've got machete, you need to build a campfire, but you can just go and start chopping down the trees, that turns into sticks, different bits and pieces like that. So that kind of stuff, that's pretty decent. Then you look at the floor and you're like, oh my god, the texture of that ground is horrendous. Like, it's some of the worst textures I think I've seen in any game that I've played. It's just not great. And I think I can understand why people...
So any gaming is just like including N64 games or just
PSVR2
games?
So PSVR2 games that I've played.
Okay.
Some of and I think a lot of the disappointment has came around because this is a Quest port rather than a PC VR port, and I think the Quest game has a smaller map and is a lower quality, and it doesn't feel like they've really done anything to harness the power of the PSVR2 or the PS5. Even like to the extent of loading screens and stuff, like I did not expect to see these big white loading screens with like a little circle filling up. I'm like, no, that it doesn't feel like it needs it, given what it then loads. But I can see there being a decent game here. Like, the initial gameplay seems pretty decent. Like, what you need to do, you've got a story mode where you've got loads of different difficulty options where you can turn it right down to just enjoy the story and say, right, so you're not going to have like any hostile attacks from like animals and enemies and things like that. And you can just go and enjoy the story and do the basics of survival, building your camp, making your fires, exploring to get all the different bits and pieces that you need. So it does just feel like there is a little bit of something there. It is just the graphics that probably let it down. And I can understand why people are then annoyed, because it could have been better.
So it reminds me of when the launch of the PSVR2, there was sort of Sullen of Smoke, and they released a video comparing the Quest 2 version with the PSVR 1 version and the PSVR 2 version, which was night and day, looked like a next gen upgrade. It was in every area, the textures, the detail, the lighting, the foliage and stuff. It was night and day better on PSVR2, and that made the kind of argument then for why buy PSVR2 if it's just going to be full of ports. It's like, well, because those ports are going to be the best versions of these games, and if this isn't delivering on that, then that's kind of a problem for Sony in a way, and it doesn't look. It's not a great look, is it? If it's just a port that is worse or as good as the other ones, and like I say, not taking advantage of the power it's got at its disposal. It seems, I don't want to say lazy because I don't know how hard it is to port a game. I imagine it's not lazy, but it just seems a missed opportunity.
Yeah. It should hopefully over time they might make it a wee bit better, and I think there are other modes coming down the line, so whether upgrades come with that as the co-op modes and stuff come. Because I do think, particularly in the survival mode with co-op, a lot of people like this. Because there is a good game there. It's just a shame it doesn't look a bit better, and maybe just use a wee bit more of the power that's there.
Wow. We've been playing quite a lot then this week, haven't we, chaps?
Yeah.
A lot of new games there. Good. Well, let's move on to our main topic of the week. But before we do that, I just want to remind everyone, if they'd like to support us, please do give the podcast a sub on the service you're using and leave us a review too. Follow us on Twitter at CrossButton VR and at the CrossPlayers. And if you Twitter and Blue Sky now, I believe, and Instagram as well, and all the kind of socials. Alex has set us up everywhere, haven't you? CrossButton VR and the CrossPlayers.
I'm a best.
We're everywhere. And if they really want to show their love, please, you can do so via patreon.com/thecrossplayers, and for £2 a month you can help us produce the show and gain entry into our lovely little WhatsApp group. And as well as all that, you can check out our Discord as well, which people could be doing to, if nothing else, to join in with the VR The Champions. Currently at the moment we are playing Pistol Whip. It's got another week to go on it, so by the time this episode goes out there's going to be a few more days on it, is that right? Yeah. Okay. So, any last minute entries? Anyone hearing this for the first time? Oh, great! I'm really good at Pistol Whip. Get your time in. Join our Discord. But yeah, our Discord. We say it every week, but I just love the community that we've got going now. I love the fact that people can just jump in and find people that want to play a game and stuff. And this is a great way to really enhances the enjoyment, I think, of the headset and all these social games that it has and things. And it's great that we've kind of making new friends from it as well. So. Yeah, lovely. What is going on the Pistol Whip? Who's currently winning that one?
Lewis.
God, we get him on for 1 week, and now he just thinks he can.
He's on next week.
I know that. Of course, I know that. People can look forward to that. People hearing this episode, who is this guy? Who is this Lewis guy?
Is it really?
You haven't met him yet, listeners or viewers, but just you wait.
So I was chasing his score, and then as I beat his score, he'd beat his score. So I was watching the leaderboards, and then I kept going, and then I thought I'd beat his score, and I missed it by 800 points, and I was fuming. Absolutely fuming. I sent you guys a picture of my t-shirt as I was finished, because I was absolutely drenched in sweat. I had to sit for half an hour before going to bed to cool down.
Wow.
I'm so annoyed, but I'm not giving up.
I haven't tried yet. I haven't actually played it so far, and don't think I'm going to get the time. So I might have to just do a lorry with this one. You're the duck out.
Sit this one out. Yeah. Yeah. Next time I'll be there.
It's so good.
Yeah, I can't believe Ben. You're Mr. Pistol Whip. It's your game.
I know. I kind of. I don't know. Just the week has passed me by. I think just getting ready for holiday. I've just.
And it's school holidays as well, isn't it? Trying to do anything in school holidays, it's like work.
They're over.
True.
Right, anyway, enough of that. PSVR2, it's been out for 6 months now, gents. 6 bloody months. And what do you think? How do you think it's doing in that time? How do you think Sony are doing with it? How do you think the hardware is faring up? How's yours holding up? You're not broken it yet. 6 months. How's it going?
Good. Well, much better than expected. If I'm totally honest.
Right, it?
Yeah, fine. Still using it, so it's a bonus. Not a complete waste of money.
The lenses that I got have been a revelation for me. I think that's where it's opened up, and I can now be as enthused by it as you guys, which is nice.
Yeah, that feels, and that's great. That feels so important because it was bumming me out the first few months where you were like, I can't really see it. It's just everything is blurry, and I'm like, no, it's not. Like it's you. Like these. Like surely get your eyes tested, and you did, didn't you? When you went to go and get your eyes tested because of it.
Yeah.
But it was just like because you were like, I can't find the sweet spot. Nothing works for me, and I could tell that it was impacting your enjoyment. So I'm really, really glad that you've managed to find a solution.
And I think it is a case of, and we'll speak about this next week with Lewis probably, but there is a case of we had it does take time to train your eyes and your brain and everything else, and also like I mentioned this right at the start, but my expectations were maybe too high of how high fidelity everything would be, but I think once I've got used to it, and now everything just everything looks the way it probably should look, or I perceive it the way it should be perceived anyway. Which is
I think exactly what you said there. I'm much less conscious now that there are these little screens an inch from my eyeball, and I just look at stuff in the game and focus in the far distance or the middle distance, and I'm just not conscious of the fact that I'm actually focusing on two screens that are really close, which when you first start playing it, I think is much more kind of apparent or obvious, or it's harder to escape that.
Definitely.
Yeah, I completely agree.
How are we going to do this? Are we going to like a grade, like an A, B, C, D, E, F kind of grade on what we think of the first 6 months? That might be fun.
Yeah, or score it out of 10 if you want.
Yeah, we'll score out of 10.
Or you can give it a
We've never
percentage
scored
if you like.
anything out of 10. Let's give it a grade.
Let's give it a grade.
All right.
Yeah. But
I would. Yeah, go on. You go first, Alex.
I think I would give it a B plus.
Oh.
I think there's bits missing. I honestly thought Astrobot would be here. I think the first party support has been there at the gate. It was there out the gate, and then it's never caught up, and that's been probably the biggest disappointment. But I mean, I have loved the last 6 months. I think you guys can tell how much I've enjoyed everything I played in VR. Like, see things like Masternoid. That has made my year.
Waiting for how long did it take him to mention Masternoid?
I mean, I know it's a joke, and I know it's been a journey, but I mean, that game is. I've played over 50 hours of that game now. 50 hours.
Amazing.
Like, I mean, but there's so many games that I would never have touched. There's so many things I would never even thought about playing, and I'm like, oh, I said I'll just give it a try. We'll try this. We'll try that. And how many? See, if you think back over the last 6 months, how many things have we talked about on here negatively? Not that many. Like,
no.
Genuinely, there's been very few misses.
Yeah, I think when we made our top 10, which became our top 15 in the end, list of games, and we joke about this and there's no games, but for a system that is 6 months old, there are so many really strong games. I think it took longer for the PS5 itself to get that many decent games that I could say, I'm picking up PSVR2 today. I could go out and you've got 10 to 15 games here. They might not all be to your taste, so you might want to only pick up kind of half of them. I don't know, but there's really strong games that I have no qualms in recommending people pick up, and they'll have a great time. And there's such variety in experiences. And for me, the really thing that I just can't get over is just the new, fresh experiences that it's made me play, and existing genres playing them, and it feels new in VR. Stuff like Moss, and just it's really just shaken up and revitalized gaming as a hobby, really. It's just, and it's great for that. It's been really wonderful, and I hope that doesn't die, that doesn't get used to that and just start taking that for granted and stuff, and that sort of, that new factor and stuff, because that's, for me, I think if anyone's feeling at all jaded with just normal where AAA gaming is or where conventional gaming is now, and just the kind of formulaic nature of these big releases, there is a whole wealth of stuff here that most of it is probably stuff you've never heard of, because it's not being talked about, and so much of it is so good, and that has been a joy to discover over this last 6 months.
Yeah, I would completely agree with that. I think point you were saying there about, if you remember our interview with John, the last Clockwinder dev, he was saying about, like, so much of VR is new because there's not there's no kind of design language. There's no this is the way you do this, like a 2D platformer. You press jump, you jump, if you hit that thing on the head, they're going to die. There's none of that in VR, so I think it's going to be a long while yet until these experiences become stale, like the rest of the game. And I think that's a really good point, and that's something I hadn't considered, Laurie, is, what's good about it is the open world fatigue, roguelike fatigue, whatever else, everything's kind of derivative of the last popular thing that came out in regular gaming. This does feel a bit like a new frontier, and to be experienced in these games like The Last Clockwinder, which is something, you remember I was like, you guys play that one. Doesn't look like a game I would enjoy. And I probably ended up being the most high out of the three of us on that game. But yeah, so for that, it's been really strong. I think I'll probably be just to present the other side of the coin, what you were saying earlier, Laurie, about Hubris, about it's a good VR game, but you wouldn't really give it the time of day if it wasn't VR. I do wonder if there's an element of us being more lenient on these games because they are kind of new experiences. But really,
100%,
if you said,
100% we are.
do you want to play Tears of Kingdom, or do you want to play Red Matter 2? Do you know what I mean? I feel, Alex, I know what you would say, obviously, but I think generally, I think we're more lenient on VR, and I think because of that, because of what Alex said about the first party support, I'd probably go more of a C grade at the moment. I think I still like my socks to be blown off a few more times with a few more games, but solid if not spectacular for me so far.
Yeah, I mean, you said it there for me, Ben, when you said it's like a new frontier, and that you get the rough with the smooth with that. You get this very really good stuff, and Hubris is a really great example of it. So there's so much wow. They're making new systems up. They're trying new things, but there's stuff that doesn't work. And that's okay. There's stuff that does work, and they'll iterate on it, and they'll make it better, and then there's stuff that will really, really sing through it. And it feels like the PSVR1, that was the real first, and that was you getting at the ground level, they're working stuff out. It got better over the generation, and now we're in a much better place. There's good stuff for us. It's all new, so we still feels like we're finding our way around this kind of new frontier world. But we're getting it with the benefit of really good tech, because the headset, it still does kind of wow me. The controllers I still find them really good to use, and putting the headset on, it's still really simple to set up, and that's all good. But yeah, I fully agree as well. That lack of first party support is coming now, guys. It's time. We need to see. Tell us if you make it a nice show or not. Tell us the next kind of Blood and Truth or whatever it might be. We need more stuff like Horizon, Call of the Mountain, with that level of graphical fidelity and that level of polish and that level of recognition and the big name brands. I think Resident Evil 4 VR mode, that's being shown at is it Tokyo Game Show in a few weeks' time, playable, which hopefully suggests that, I mean, it'd be great to get those first hands-on impressions from people. Hopefully they'll get a sense of how far out it is, but it feels like that could be the start of the next kind of second wave of that, and Firewall Ultra, the next big wave of these big games that are going to be a bit more attention-grabbing for other people.
It's funny, just one thing to the point you made there about Ben about, and this isn't to shit on Tears of the Kingdom at all, but whether you would play Tears of the Kingdom or whether you play Red Matter 2, what I'm actually finding now, surprisingly, like, see, before VR came along, and we've had this discussion many times, I did not want to play a big game. Like, I wanted to play small games. There was nothing appealing about going and playing a big game. I now want to go and play a big game on a flat screen on a PC and complement it with VR, because they're giving me those small experiences that I enjoy. So like I now feel a bit more energized to go and tackle these big games again, because I know I've got the enjoyment of all these little experiences that I can jump in and play on VR when I've got maybe half an hour, and I like to do something different. And I just feel it's completely changed how I approach my free time and how I approach like the games that I play.
Yeah. Point. Laurie, did you give it a grade? I think Alex said B+, I've said C.
I'd say B as well. B or B+, whatever. I feel if there was some more of that first party roadmap, that's kind of what it's missing now. Those big games. We're happy playing all of these games that people may not have heard of and these IPs that no one's ever heard of. But I feel like for it to really take off, I want to see Sony commit to it and demonstrate that they have a strong future and commitment to this headset. So that's what I think is missing, and I think it is important because if you're grading it as a whole, I'm totally happy with it. But if you're trying to step back and think, have they done a good job with this headset or not? I think what the thing which is pretty hard to argue against is that if they've not demonstrated that level of first party support for it. And I've said a few times over the months that I don't think necessarily they ever will in that way that people want. I think they've just created a platform and then they're stepping back and letting developers, essentially indie devs, do the work and just use it as their playground basically to create experiences in. And I'm cool with that, but I think that's what holds it back from greatness, really, is to show that they're going to get their top teams working on experiences for it. Cool. Well, that sums it up, unless either of you have got any final thoughts.
No, I think that sums up perfectly.
No, lovely. Well, thank you everyone again for listening. If you have enjoyed this episode, we'd love it if you could please tell your family and friends about us. And thanks once again, as ever, for our patrons for supporting the work that we do. I've been your host, Laurie. These two have been Ben and Alex, and we will see you again next time. Until then, it's goodbye.